Welcome to this episode of The Good, The Bad and The Odd One Out with your host Mark. Today I'd like to talk about the 2011 film Headhunters. Right, this is a Norwegian film. It's a thriller, kinda. No, it is a thriller. Stroke action movie, but more thriller than action. About a guy who, by day, is a headhunter. He's trying to find executives to place in positions quite high up in various companies, but he uses this and his interviewing techniques to find out what works of art people own, and his alternative job is he steals those works of art. In the short time frame he has when these people are being interviewed, for example, he knows he can get in there, take it, replace it with a forgery, and get out, and so it isn't spotted for weeks afterwards. So in some cases, he does things during the interviews, like ask them if they got maids or dogs or kids or wives, if their wives work, who stays home with the kids, that kind of thing. Finds out what he needs to. This is all very well. He's quite short, and he's got a thing about his height. He's 5'6". He also has a beautiful tall wife who runs an art gallery, so she knows about art. And basically, he steals from the wrong guy. A guy who's like ex-special forces, who's got sort of nanotechnology for bugging equipment and all sorts of things, and basically it becomes a manhunt. It becomes a much bigger plot than that, and I found the plots somewhat confusing, and there were some quite significant logical gaps in it. I found maybe if I concentrated a bit harder, I would have followed it a bit better, but there seems to be sort of quite odd decisions made by some of the characters. For example, the guy that's hunting him is tracking him to this place where there are a few other people, or at least one other person, but there's certainly, it isn't in the middle of nowhere. There's someone else around. But he decides, this stealthy special forces guy decides to take a dog with him. A large dog, which is fine, which doesn't work in terms of manhunting, tracking movies when you're being stealthy. It's alright when you're chasing people across country, say, but not for stealth. Anyway, it was kind of cool. There was a scene where the little fella had to fight the dog, and the dog was enormous. It was quite kind of cool, and there were some quite good scenes. The other thing that was kind of stand out was the guy who's trying to escape being killed, because basically he knew he was going to die if this guy caught him. There was no doubt about that. He had to go through horrible things to evade death. For example, he gets trapped in like an outside toilet that's got a cesspit underneath it. And he knows he's trapped. The dog's barking at the door. The guy's walking up towards the thing. So he climbs into the cesspit with a toilet roll to breathe through and immerses himself completely in it. So when the guy looks in the cesspit, all he can see is like, what you see in a cesspit and a toilet roll sticking out. And that, he came really close to that. And there was another time where the guy he had to fake death, being surrounded by bloody corpses, and just lay there still while the guy tried to reach him to take his pulse, but he was just out of reach. But so he was covered in crap. He was covered in blood. He had to do all sorts of things go away. It was kind of fun. It was kind of, while you were being entertained while you were watching it. The lead was pretty good, actually. He was he looked like the spawn of Christopher Walken and Steve Buscemi. He was kind of channeling those two, and he was pretty good. I watched a bit of the American dub, which wasn't great because they gave him this like deep, husky action hero voice, which really didn't suit his character at all. So I'd recommend watching in Norwegian if you can. Did I mention this is a Norwegian film? It's it was well directed, well paced. I liked it. I didn't like the logical flaws, but overall, I thought it was a pretty solid thriller. On IMDb, it's 7.5, which is pretty high. I'd give it 69. I thought it was good, but it had some, like I say, logic flaws that I found hard to get over. I also didn't quite follow the story in terms of there were bigger issues at play than just him stealing a guy's work of art and the guy trying to get revenge. There was a much bigger plot than that, but it kind of felt a bit contrived. even though I think it was intrinsic. It was based on a novel, I think, from a few years before, and I'm guessing the novel makes much more sense. They often do. They lay out the motivations and the for conspiracy stuff. They lay out the motivations and what's really going on a lot better than films. However, I would definitely recommend this film. It's definitely worth a watch. It was really gorgeous looking on the Blu-ray. As I say, the lead was pretty solid. He very Walken-esque, Buscemi-esque. The main antagonist he looked more like a sort of mature model than an actor. He reminded me a bit of Aaron Eckhart, with a lot of like stubble on his chin, looking very smart. And also the wife was okay. She was okay, I suppose. She wasn't that striking in terms of acting ability, but she looked really beautiful. There was another character called Lottie that had to do some acting. She was okay as well. She wasn't bad. It's funny, you can really notice acting styles when you're watching a film in a slightly different language. You pay attention a bit more to the acting, I think. And she was okay. Lottie, that is. There was a few other characters in this, kind of fun. I did like the setup and the resolution. It was a bit convenient, I suppose, in the way it all sort of panned out perfectly. Plot points that weren't anything to do with the main action actually worked in the good guy's favour to help him resolve the issues and figure out how to clear himself of what's going on before anyone really discovers what's going on. I liked it. I'd give it a recommend. Okay then, that's it from me. Bye.
Wait. Let's start at the beginning. This is Roger Brown, corporate headhunter. Addicted to luxury, buried in debt, and hiding a secret life. And this is the man with a deadly past
Høres ut som noe man har sett på film.
Tror man Roger, det har du ikke sett på film.
and a priceless secret.
Claes Greve har et ekte Rubens-bord. Hvor mye tror du det er verdt?
Kanskje 100?
Du har kandidat.
De lavede de her mikroskopiske sender.
Roger.
Den fester sig på alt.
Så du hva som skjedde? Var det noen der?
Du ser sliten ut. Er det noe?
Nei.
Oh!